Friday. It's Friday. Do you remember when just being a Friday used to be a day of celebration? I mean, look, I know a lot of you working, given the current pandemic, and you know, to you, obviously, nothing much. No, I've got nothing, but you know, a lot of love for you, basically. A lot of love if you're working your asses off like I think you are. By the way, we may have some issues today. Apparently, Twitch is being a little bit of a naughty, but seems to be working. How are you doing? Sorry, just discombobulated. Too much information. And plus, the wife just made me a delicious coffee drink with a little bit of caffeine to it, so I'm a little anyway, hope you've had a good week. Thank you for joining me. I am Marcus Beer. This is my dank little hole that you are in, my wonderfully, gloriously geeky man cave / office with my Star Wars art and me. There. I can never get that right. There. My Annoyed Gamer logo back from the days when I robbed it from game trailers. They had no use for it. Anyway, if you are in the chat room, say hello. Carlos has already beat me to it. Nice to see you, Carlos. Yeah, it's been a fun couple of days. I'm seeing fluctuations on the on my on my bandwidth. So you'll have to bear with me because we have been having some outages here in Altadena. As you know, if you're a regular watcher, I've had some problems with Spectrum internet a few times, and everybody in the neighborhood's reporting issues right now. So if I lose this stream, turn to Twitter, where you will see me abusing Spectrum for their shitty overpriced service. Unfortunately, in this country, regulations and accountability is something that is not for the little people. You know, we're not allowed to hold people accountable when we give them hundreds of dollars a month for a fat internet pipe, and then get away with murder. Not literally, just figuratively. Anyway, look, everybody's picking up. How you doing, Slade? Glad to see where we've got a couple of people in the room. Fun show today. Not sure how long I'm going to last. Started exercising a little more this week, and I will be honest, it's catching up with me. Geez, 50 years old. I mean, you know, the legs are achy. It is what it is. But first thing I need to do, in fact, I'm actually going to do this a little bit later because not everybody's in. What am I going to talk about today? 3 topics. First of all, in no particular order. First of all, I want to give a shout out to Sam Van Oppen, who sent me some info on the first story that I'm going to talk about today, which is EAGate. EA controversy. What's going on? Oh, no. So, yes, I'm going to talk about this. It's to do with FIFA Ultimate Team and the cards. Then we're going to talk about Bethesda. Obviously, the buyout was completed with Xbox on Monday or Tuesday, and now all the Bethesda games are on Xbox Ultimate Gaming Pass toilet thing. Oh, there you go, Sam. All right, I couldn't figure out the picture of you is too small on my screen compared to your Twitter. So anyway, Slade Wilson, Sam sent me something, so thank you for that. You are the guy who's responsible for the first story, and then I'm going to talk about Star Citizen. Now, Star Citizen is, it's something I've never really talked about in depth other than on other people's shows, because it was one of those games that was breaking Kickstarter records when I was still doing Annoyed Gamer. And then I went away and, vanished for 6 years, and this game still hasn't fucking come out. So anyway, we're going to talk about that towards the end of the show, and Cloud Imperium and some of their most recent shenanigans to do with the Texas Blizzard. Hello, Anne-Lee. Hi with Sword and Gun. Hi, Barbara. Thank you all for joining. As usual, you guys absolutely rock. With Sword and Gun asks, what am I doing with the working out? Not running. Because again, the heart and lungs and everything are still recovering from the surgery last year. I'm walking, which doesn't sound like a lot, But when you got a mask on as well, it can get a little bit much. So, here's the real sad thing. In my heyday, before, before the surgeries and the heart attack and everything, I used to be, relatively fit, considering I wasn't like toned or in shape, but I had good lung capacity despite smoking. Long legs. I could do a mile inside. I could probably walk a mile in about 10 or 11 minutes. Long strides. I'm 6'2". It's taken me 18 minutes to walk a mile now. Yesterday was 18. Today was 17, actually. Yeah, so I've already set a new PB. But yeah, I'm walking with the mask on. I'm walking as briskly as I can. I'm tracking everything on my Apple Watch. I got to get my lung capacity up, and then I also have been carrying a leg issue since before Christmas, and that's finally been fixed with a good chiropractor because it threw my back out, and I'm building that up as well. So I basically want to be. I don't want to look pregnant anymore. I look pregnant. So I got to lose that. I got to get a little healthier. I'm not getting any younger. Although, men get mature and craggy and distinguished and refined, apparently, in old age. So, yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm walking. I'm getting up at like 6 o'clock in the morning, walking around Pasadena with the mask on, not many people around. Reading stuff on my phone and, just getting as much as I can in, coming home absolutely exhausted. I'm like, ready to go to bed. So anyway, that's my fun. That's how I am. Welcome to this window into my world. Muckwomble says, I said the only good thing to come out of Wales was Tiny Rebel Brewery, which I've actually been to. Then beat Scotland. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Look, you got Womble in the title. Of course you're forgiven. Orinoco, my favorite Womble. Some people, Madame Chalet, Great Uncle Bulgaria. Me, I'm an Orinoco kind of guy. Anybody who is of my age, and particularly British, will remember the Wombles. Look them up. Fucking awesome. 70s British TV for kids was something you can now rewatch while stoned out of your box, and it works. I mean, let's face it, we're the country that gave you Teletubbies, so our shit's wacky. Yes, so I'm taking it slow. All good. Welcome, replay. Yeah. Hi, everybody. Thank you for coming in. First thing I want to do is I'm going to do a little bit of housekeeping. Obviously, last week I did that, and it's like, okay, how's this going to go? And I talked about this on the last show, and I'm not going to talk about it every week. I just want to, give some shout outs and some thanks to some people who have, basically jumped on board from the get go. And it's just amazing. So yes, I want to thank Matthew Engelbart, Christopher Dixon, Tim Albers, Maxime Desjardins, Eodine, Rob, Boss Dooley, Tea Time and Biscuits, and Mike Zero for being my Patreon supporters as we head off into the great unknown that is Patreon. Ooh, I just maximized my screen and the picture of myself just went mega, and nobody wants to see that. So anyway, yes, I want to say thank you to those guys. If you want to support, there are a number of different tiers. Forget the higher tiers. The higher tiers are just there for shits and giggles, just because I want to see if how it would go. But the two lower tiers, take a look. Base tier, you get to come in and have a Discord server post show, which once I finish with this show, we'll be jumping on Discord. We'll have some conversation. Next level up, you get a live stream, an exclusive live stream every 2 weeks on top of the chat thing. And then, there'll be other perks further down the line, but you don't have to. That's the thing. If you can, great. If you want to, great. If you don't want to, there's still going to be at least 2 shows a week here, plus some other stuff as we move forward. All right, enough shilling like the hoe I am. Let's talk about the first story of the day, which is EAGate. Oh no, something's wrong at EA. Saying ain't so. Well, not only is something wrong, something might be illegal. and it's not necessary. It's not an EA thing. It's an EA staff thing. So, as I go back to the chat room, yeah. So obviously we have FIFA. I'm sorry. I'm just going to respond to sub level 28 there. If you are going to support one or the other, I would prefer the Patreon, to be honest with you, because it covers more things and it is a more equitable deal for me, and you'll still get access to the same stuff. So in fact, let me scratch that. I haven't figured out how to do the subs on Twitch and give them the same bonuses that the Patreon do. So I'm going to actually have to do that. Thank you for reminding me, Annalie. You rock as always. Annalie has been like my supporter of everything I've done since like 2007, 2008. Before I did game trailers or anything like that, she used to tune into a show I did called The Gamer way back, like 14, 15, 16 years ago. Christ. But yeah, Annalie, she's awesome. Okay, so let's go back. Sorry, EAGate, FIFA, the FIFA Ultimate Legends packs that they sell for the FIFA games. These are the cards, the loot boxes, if you will, that we know I fucking hate, that I do think should be illegal. And as I've said before, if you are doing loot packs, you're very naughty, because it is basically a shell game. I mean, it's literally like, oh, find the shell under the cup. Oh, you didn't get it. I'm going to take your money. Where people are spending shit tons of money to get these legendary player cards. People like Ronaldo, Ruud Gullit, Ferenc Puskas, Ryan Giggs. And they are trying to get these players, and they're spending more money on the cards. And the percentage rate for actually getting one of these big cards to put into your ultimate team is so minuscule. You have to spend a shit ton of money. Now, some people have found a way to circumvent that, and it's highly illegal because it involves, and this is the story that's been breaking today on Polygon. I've seen it on The Independent in the UK. Everybody's picking up on this. Apparently, and my understanding is that this is coming out of Europe. So somebody at EA Europe, or a couple of people at EA Europe, have formed a mini cartel and they have access to code generators to basically say, all right, we want to, this is the player, we want to generate the code, and then they sell them, and people give them, their Xbox Live info or their PlayStation Network info, and they transfer these cards to them for not a small amount of money, not $10, not $20 or euros, 1,500 to 2,000 euros per card in some cases for the very high ones. This is, I mean, it's unsurprising. Shit, gold farming's been going on in World of Warcraft since they made it possible for people to farm gold, and we know that there were whole banks of computers being played by people 24/7 in shifts of 12 hours. All they did was mine gold and loot, and then they'd sell it online, and all of a sudden you'd buy, somebody would have like 10,000 gold one minute, and then 2 million the next, and they're buying everything they can on the auction house. And we know it happens in every game with a multiplayer component. The fact that it's important that it's happening, important as far as I'm concerned, with regards to FIFA, is this might actually signal the beginning of the end of the loot box, of the loot crate, of the pack. Because it's blowing out what a fucking scam it is. I mean, obviously it's a criminal enterprise anyway, because it's theft of IP from EA, and they're going to press charges when they find out who these people are. Everybody who's bought them has participated in fraudulent activity. I'm guessing they're violating not only EU law, but international laws such as United States and the US, because it's basically transferring funds for the purchase of in essence, stolen goods, because these codes are not being generated. It's not like, oh, look, I bought this and I got this card in here and I'm going to sell it. It's not that. This code is being generated by somebody at EA who's then selling it. So it's theft. It's then theft, and it's transfer of stolen goods across international boundaries. I'm not sure if that's racketeering. It's also transfer of money for receipt of stolen goods across international borders. These are some hefty fucking charges that are going to come forward. Whoever's involved with this and whoever's bought these cards, it's brown pants time, because you're going to go bye-bye. Let's face it, EA is totally going to fucking press charges. And honestly, I don't blame them. Although, if they didn't have the shitty loot box system in place and actually just did the, you want to buy this character, you want to buy this gold character, this super, $10 for the card, that's it, build your own team out. Maximum you spend on a team or a squad ends up being $150 all told, because the top tier cards are $10. How about that for wonderfulness? That would be great. But it's not happening. Maybe it will. Maybe it'll start to after this, because the law's getting involved and the EU are getting involved and the governments are going to get involved, because it's a hot button topic anyway. And now EA might have to get their house in order. So yeah, that's the. I mean, I'm not. I don't like the cards. I think whoever's doing it, they obviously have been doing it a while. They've made a shit ton of money. I'm not going to say good luck to them, because, they're basically charging people for stuff. And everybody will say, well, if the market wasn't there, they wouldn't be fulfilling it. But they're basically the same as the scalpers who sell tickets online, who sell PlayStation 5s, etc., etc. Only this time they're dealing in stolen goods. So interesting. You can please let me know. Let me know what your thoughts are in the chat room. But yes, what an interesting thing, in that this criminal act might be the end of the loot box. They might actually start outlawing them. Microsoft and Sony also now have to get involved, because their systems are used for receipt of stolen goods. Ooh, has anybody even talked about that yet? How's Microsoft feeling today? How's Xbox Live and PSN head honchos like? Hang on, people are what? Trafficking stolen goods through our network? Shit. So yeah. Anyway, if the very least that comes out of this is that we say goodbye to the card packs, the loot packs, from all the EA sports games, because I mean, it's basically something that's put me off going to really get back into FIFA. Yeah, if those start to go bye-bye, that would be wonderful. It has the knock-on effect of every other gaming company and product that has these fucking cards, this gambling, especially as it's encouraging small kids to gamble with money that isn't theirs. Good. Something good will have come of this. And yeah, if you are one of the chaps or chapesses, or however you define yourself, who's involved with this, lawyer the fuck up. Hello, David B. Hello, Steve Morris. Hey, Raypad. So, yeah, all right. Slade Wilson is saying that it's been going on for about 5 years. Like I said, I'm still reading through this and some of the other stuff. So we're going to keep on this. We're going to keep an eye on this. We're going to go, what? We're going to keep an eye on it. But yes, I want to thank again Slade Wilson, otherwise known as Sem Van Oppen, for sending me that. And this is it. You send me stuff, I'll look into it. I can talk about it. So this is what makes it cool, because I don't have a team of researchers. I don't have a team of anybody. I have a dog who is adorable, bit fucking useless when it comes to research. Cats, they just want to sit there and fucking sit on your chest and go to sleep. And wife, well, she's doing her own thing. And I don't blame her. She's actually going to take over the branding of my of my brand, because I've got 13 different types of styling on my stuff right now, and she's the marketing whiz. So yeah. Anyway, so yes, stuff should start to look better actually on my various streams, sometime in the next month or so. All right, let's go back to the chat show. This is the worst chat show, isn't it? Guests are me. Let's go to the chat room. Windswept Dragon, just in case Mr. Beast or one of those other rich streamers want to fund my retirement. Well, I'm not going to retire for a while. I mean, I did actually spend almost 4 years in semi-retirement, where, post-heart attack and everything, getting shit back together, but I missed it. I missed talking to everybody. And look, I don't think I'm going to get rich doing this. So, yeah, it's just a bit of fun. And like I said, it's just that the Patreon is there just to help a little bit. Times are tough for everybody. I'm not begging anybody to do it. If you can't do it, look after yourselves first and foremost. Seriously. If this can bring you a bit of entertainment that you don't have to pay for, I'm happy. Great. If you can forego the price of a pint of beer once a month, or a cocktail, or Starbucks, that would help me. Tis what it is. Carlos Arturo. Hello from Colombia. Hello from Altadena, California. All right. Let me see. What else are we going? All right. Raypad says, I loathe FIFA Ultimate Team. Yes. I really need to get back into FIFA. It's funny. I used to play FIFA so much. Hell, FIFA Soccer on the Mega Drive, on the Sega Genesis. I remember getting a sizzle reel from EA. And this is where, gather ye round, children. Let me tell you a story of days gone by. The very first FIFA soccer game. Now, we'd had NHL. We'd had Madden. There'd been a couple of NBA games, Bulls versus Blazers and stuff like that from EA Sports. But there hadn't been a football game. The football soccer game was dominated by, to be honest with you, Football Manager in the UK, which is a management sim, and it's become an annual thing and has evolved out of all recognition. It used to be like, X amount of options, incredible database, limited, in what you could actually do. And it was incredibly playable, where you'd basically start playing a game at like 4:00 in an afternoon and you'd still be playing at 4 a.m. the next morning, or you'd look and you go, oh shit, I have to go to work now. So Football Manager, Championship Manager, as they were called, dominated. But they weren't arcade games. We'd had Sensible Soccer, which was fun. International Superstar Soccer, which became Pro Evo. But FIFA came along and brought all the EA gimmicks and EA snazziness to it. And the first one, so like pseudo isometric, and I got the first. I was working at Games World, and we got a really dodgy duplication. I mean, it was like a rough VHS dupe from a beta master of EA's forthcoming sizzle reel. And this was obviously before the internet, before uploading anything to an FTP site, before, trailers on computers were even a thing. And I kid you not, there was like 3 minutes of FIFA. And every bloke in the office, there's like 20 of us, would just basically huddle around the TV, put the tape in, play it, stop it, rewind it, play it, and then analyze FIFA to the nth degree. Like, oh my God, so you think they're going to have teams? Will they have Liverpool? Will they have Arsenal? Will they have Spurs? And obviously this first one was it was FIFA International Soccer, so it was international teams. So I was like, will they have Wales? And everybody's like, haha, of course they'll have Wales, but they'll be shit. Because at the time, we were on a football stage. England were much better, by the way. Excuse me. So yeah, that was my first experience. I remember getting the ROM in the cartridge with the custom ROM in for review, and literally it turned up from a courier, and I had to sign for it, and I opened it up, and it came with an EA Sports jacket. In fact, talk amongst yourselves. Keep talking amongst yourselves. over a quarter of a century later, I still have the jacket. That has come with me from the UK. That went from London to Northampton to North Carolina to San Francisco to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 places in LA. So yeah, that is not going to, and it's so comfortable. In fact, there you go. Oh, it's so nice and comfortable and hefty and everything. And EA Sports, it's in the game. So yeah, so obviously, I mean, I got a lot of people in the office who were very jealous of this particular thing, but then I literally had to lock away this ROM, and I'm still talking about FIFA, the original FIFA Mega Drive or Genesis version. And I had to lock away the ROM so that nobody could get access to it. But yeah, that was the first experience, and that's how wonderful it was. And then FIFA rolled to the World Cup, and then they started introducing the teams. And FIFA was so playable. It was one that, yes, you could have a quick kick around no matter what your skill set. And then FIFA went through a phase of coasting, as popular games tend to do. And Pro Evo became the most popular, well, certainly the better soccer game. Didn't have the licenses, though. Didn't have EA's razzmatazz. So it never really broke through. And it's still going, and it still has its fans. And yeah, FIFA is just something that became too much work for me. And Football Manager is actually along the same thing, because the older you get, the less time you have to play games. Even if you do play games for a living, especially these games that, you know, all right, well, I'm going to play this, and I'm going to play this, and now all of a sudden I'm in a season, and I've got a cup game coming up, and one of my, both my centre backs are injured. What am I going to do? I mean, I barely have enough time to focus on the Fantasy Football League that Raypad started, and apparently I had a good week this week with a couple of my players doing well for once. Yeah, so I can't really invest that sort of time into FIFA, and it just became too much of a chore. It really did. They overfaffed it, and this is the problem with every single one of the EA Sports games, in my opinion. They have to change things up every year. They can't just go with the roster because people demand more. So we're going to have career mode. Now we're going to have ultimate career mode. We'll have ultimate legends and this and that and the other. And it just became too much fucking work. I'd like to get back into FIFA at some point, but I just can't commit to I just want to have a kick around and play a competitive game and not have to worry about learning 14 different moves that are going to dislocate my thumbs. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with just having a little bit of fun kick around? The beauty of something like FIFA is that you're not, you, me, we are not Gareth Bale. We are not Steven Gerrard. We are not Mo Salah. We're not Kevin De Bruyne. We're not Leo Messi. This allows us to do it, to take control of those characters, but the barrier to entry is increasing every single time. It's getting a little fucking annoying and just sucks the fun out of it. I don't want to have to learn 14 different things to learn some kicks, different kicks and dribbles and this sort of thing. If I want to dribble, I want to put my foot, press the controller and just fucking dribble past somebody. Lose the ball. And I know it's like, oh, you can play on easy mode. Easy mode, when you're playing fucking, you win 9-0 every single time. Well, it gets a bit repetitive, So yeah, that's just my bugbear about the EA games. Maybe they should, and I've said this before, barrier to entry. Lower the barrier to entry. Still keep it hard, or, if people want to play with others online and do these tricks and have these, great, do it. Have fun. Not my cup of tea. Anyway, let's go. Keep on going back. Hang on. Slade, there's not much I can do with regards to forwarding stuff to EA. Maybe you tag a journalist, like somebody from I don't know. Have a look at maybe Polygon, because I know some people have been working on that story there. So find that particular writer and send it to them. Feel free to CC me in, because I'd like to have a look. All right, now let me see. Where am I? I'm going to catch up back in the chat room before we go to round 2 of topics. Guilty Sparkplug. It's a joy to hear my voice again. Thank you, Mr. Sparkplug. And he didn't say anything about my handsome visage, my handsome grey visage. Steve Morris, come pay you. That mug is mine. Oh, God. Let me see. Windswept Dragon Football Manager. Yes, it came to Game Pass. I downloaded it. And I was like, I'm going to play some Football Manager. And when it got to the stage that, all right, so I've set my formation up. I've set, hang on, so-and-so's handling the training, and I'm doing this. I want to buy these players. All right, and they've done, and I've been playing for almost an hour, setting everything up before I even start a game, and it's a preseason friendly. Don't need that. Sensible Soccer is fantastic, by the way. Yes, kickoff. Ray gets Handball Manager. That sounds perverted. It sounds naughty. Handball, we got that rugby where I come from. Match Day wins it. Oh, yes, Match Day. Ocean on the by Ocean Software on the Spectrum. Wobsy, how you doing, dear? Playland MX, nice to see you. Daft Gear, is Xbox on its way to outselling PlayStation this generation? Interesting question, and let's look at that. And so here's the thing: if Microsoft's smart, and they can be pretty smart, they've obviously just acquired Bethesda. Do you think that they would actually be putting their resources to increasing production of the Xbox to get it out and flood the channel? Because at some point, people are going to get bored. Look, I don't have a PlayStation 5. I'm not going to buy a PlayStation 5 until it's easily available. I might, because my Xbox is knackered, I might get a new Xbox before that. I mean, obviously, I've got my gaming PC, which is more than a great fill-in, if you will. But lots of people, if they can't get one and the other one's available, they'll be like, let's do this, especially with a lot of the games coming. So who knows? Microsoft might build up, if they are smart, and flood the market and flood the channels, as we say in the industry. Who knows what will happen? They might outsell. It's all going to come down, though, to the quality of the games. Yeah. I have not seen anything that's a PlayStation exclusive, possible exception of Spider-Man Miles Morales, which, is supposed to be good, but perhaps not quite the leap forward anybody wanted. Sifu, but I don't know if that's coming out on PC at the same time. Yeah, we'll see. It's all going to come down to the games. All about the games. With Sword and Gun, I wish there was a good rugby game. Haven't played one since college. Can't risk a concussion. I broke this wrist twice playing rugby in college, actually. Back when I was fit and yeah, broke my wrist twice in the space of 6 weeks, in fact. But yes, with regards to rugby games, it's always been a very poor, slim pickings. EA had a rugby game, which was Rugby World Cup 96, 97, which was basically the FIFA engine. Mediocre AF. No, it's Rugby World Cup 95. There you go. I remember I actually did. And again, this is something that will appeal to the Brits, especially the rugby following ones of a certain age. I was working for Games Master at the time as a researcher, and we did the challenges, celebrity challenges, and I got the game from EA before it came out, and I managed to get two celebrity guests: Dewi Morris, an Englishman who played for Wales, a Welshman who played for England in rugby, and Rupert St. John Henry Barker Moon, an Englishman who played for Wales. And they played each other. They played the game. Oh, we mocked up the game. I think it was a disaster, but there you go. But yeah, going back to rugby games, the best one of a very flawed bunch has always been for me Jonah Lomu Rugby on the first PlayStation. Very, very flawed, though. And this is the thing. It's funny. Every time I've known somebody who works at a company or reps a company that's doing a rugby game coming out, I say, look, I will consult for you for free. I want to see a good rugby game so badly. And every time, like, oh, no, well, we're fine. We've got a studio in Finland, that great rugby stronghold of Finland. No offense, Finland. You've got some great soccer players. Jari Litmanen, Sami Hupia, probably a bunch more. And it's like, oh, no, they've got this. And the game comes out and it's absolute wank. I mean, anybody, please, I will consult with you for free. I will tell you what makes a fucking good rugby game. Because we will go back and we'll look at some of the great ones that they've done some good shit and eradicate the crap shit. So, yes, I'd love a great rugby game. I really would. Especially when Wales are winning. So make it now. Big day tomorrow, Wales, Italy. All right. Let's see. Phil Spencer says Bethesda is going to be Xbox only, supposedly. He said a couple of things, as Mr. Spencer. It wouldn't surprise me that Xbox, wants to keep all of the Bethesda stuff for itself, but that's leaving a lot of money on the table. Obviously they got PC as well. It would be very, very interesting if they cut PlayStation out. But we shall see. Okay. Sewer in Mazur. I just opened my Xbox app on PC and noticed all the new Game Pass with Bethesda games. There you go. That's what I'm about to. Obviously, that's what I started to talk about before I got totally sidetracked by 101 things. Okay. Let's see. Skirt George. Hello. Morpurgo UK. Favorite pour of what? Single malt? It's got to be something Pandaren, which is obviously, I'm a little biased, but I love my Pandaren. Maybe anything with the Pandaren Madeira cask in particular. They've got a couple of different ones of those. Those are amongst my favorites. Chicken Chaser PHC. Did I hear Games Master is returning the show? I don't know. I think Dominic's back in the Scotland lands now. He was in Canada for a while. I think he's moved back. Let me see. All right, we're talking about some rugby games. Most rugby games, yes. Rugby is a gentleman's sport played by hooligans. What can I say? I was never any good at it, and I stopped playing. But I like the socializing. Let's see. Now, Steve Morris, let's not get ahead of ourselves. We will not be cocky. Disturbed Swan says, Phil Spencer, not Harrison, hates exclusive, but apparently most Bethesda games going forward are going to be Xbox PC only. Makes sense, but yeah, it's going to be very, very interesting. I'd be interested to see the breakdown from Bethesda with regards to how their games sell best. I remember for the longest time, their stuff was better on PC and Xbox than it was on PlayStation. Some of the ports were downright shoddy. But that was way back when the PlayStation 3 had 40 different cell processors or whatever it was. So it'd be interesting to see how those games sell now. So, would a new Skyrim or an Elder Scrolls 5 or whatever, or Deathloop or whatever else is coming. I mean, we know Deathloop's coming to PlayStation. It's still being, shown, but will it have exclusive content? Nah, that we don't know. It just depends. Because, we're not talking about a huge amount of money for with regards to the development costs from PlayStation to Xbox to PC. They're all pretty much developed on the same type of machine and then optimized accordingly to, to the particular code. And that's a very layperson view of it. I can understand why Microsoft would want to say, well, we only want to sell Xboxes and we only want to sell Bethesda games on Xbox because people will buy an Xbox because of this. On the other hand, because I am devil's advocate, wouldn't it be great if you're Microsoft saying, all right, so now we can actually put these games that we own out on Sony's thing. Okay, let's do that. So we've got this futuristic game that's with branding we can put in on it. Let's fill it full of Xbox branding. How about that for fucking trolling? It'll be, oh, I'm down playing this game on my PS5. What the fuck is all this Xbox stuff on here? Buy an Xbox. Subliminal marketing. Totally illegal. I'm not going to say, I'm not going to tell anybody to do anything like that. But wouldn't that be funny? Bethesda's first PlayStation title since its acquisition by Xbox is full of Xbox branding. That'll be funny. Okay. Hevel Q, hi. The whole purpose of me watching game reviews, where the hell have you been? Well, I died for 18 minutes after a huge heart attack. I had several heart surgeries, including a double bypass last year. I was a foster dad for 2 little boys. We lost them when they went back to their biological families especially after my heart attack. And since then, I've been trying to stay alive. So, how have you been? Where have you been? What have you been doing? So, yes, that was me, Cliff Notes version. One more. Let's go back. Raypad TV. Do you think Mbappe and Haaland will be the new Champions League rivalry for the next decade? Well, I don't think it's going to be a rivalry, Ray. And this is where, and try not to laugh, this is where I think, how can they be? I mean, it'll be a rivalry in the way that Sadio Mane and Mo Salah are rivals. Because it's going to be Mbappe passing to Haaland to score. Haaland flicking on for Mbappe to score in the red jersey of Liverpool. Yeah, I know. Totally fucking delusional. We couldn't afford both of them. Might be able to afford one of them. But yes, assuming we get to the Champions League next season, which is not guaranteed. But yes, it could be the new Messi, Ronaldo. Haaland is, he's just, and I mean this in the best possible way, a freak of nature. And Mbappe is a brilliant player. Oh, okay, with Sword and Gun, my bucket list is to go to New Zealand, see an All Blacks game. Absolutely. Would love to go to the land of the Long White Hobbit and watch the All Blacks play. Or even just take in, something like Canterbury Crusaders game or the Hurricanes. Or, I mean, I suppose ideally, and this is like, if I ever get 1,000 people subscribing to my highest tier fucking Patreon, and I'm pulling in X amount of, a month, Lions tour, British and Irish Lions tour to New Zealand, every match, one of those curated tours where you're literally going for you're following the team from match to match to match, tickets for every game, events, sightseeing, everything. One of those, that's bucket list. That is the ultimate for me, to be able to go do that, preferably in New Zealand, because I want to go to New Zealand because it's supposed to be beautiful. Also want to go to Australia. Maybe one day I will. So yeah, sorry, we're talking bucket lists. All right. Now then, let's talk about the next topic that you're already talking about and we've touched on. Let's talk about these Bethesda games that have all dropped on Xbox Game Pass Ultimate. I can never remember. I'm going senile. I can never remember the bloody name of it. But anyway, they've dropped today. And if you are not a fan of Bethesda, or if you've not really been exposed to the world of Bethesda, let me take you on a journey and let me offer you some thoughts. Let me offer you some advice on some of the games to play. If you like shooters, now there's 2 different types of shooter. I mean, shooter. Obviously, they've got Doom Eternal. Great games. Both Doom 1 and Doom Eternal. Great reboots. Look absolutely gorgeous. They do on my PC anyway. I don't know how they look on the new Xboxes, but yeah. No-brainer. Should absolutely play those if you like that shooty there. On the subject of shooty, the 2 Wolfenstein games, Wolfenstein, the New Order and the New Colossus, both fantastic. I am waiting. That's one of the things I'm looking forward to Bethesda announcing, and hopefully they'll do it this E3, is to announce Wolfenstein 3. I know we had a Wolfenstein 2.5 with the last standalone expansion with the 2 girls, but I would love to see a Wolfenstein 3. I'll tell you why. Wolf 1, very dear to my heart. It led to my, and I'm not really violating an NDA here. It was the first consulting gig I ever got to sit down and talk and play the game, and I always felt an affinity for it. Wolf 2 felt like The Empire Strikes Back to me. That middle section of a trilogy, Darkest Before the Dawn, crazy stuff going on. And now, obviously, we had like I said, we had the game from 18 months ago, the standalone, the twin. Oh, I can't remember. Senile. But yeah, I'd like a 3. A Wolf. The time is right for Machine Games to get Wolf 3 announced out next year, maybe, and give us Wolf Blazkowicz's, BJ Blazkowicz's, sorry, swan song. Finish it off good and right, once and for all. Kick some Nazi ass, because we all like kicking Nazi ass. So yes, if you haven't played either of the Wolf games, play them. They're freaking amazing. New Colossus in particular is an incredibly satisfying game that I really enjoy playing from pillar to post. So that's the shooties, the 2 out now shooties. Then there's Dishonored 1 and 2. Arcane Studios, pseudo shooty, but much more of a, if you've played or if you're familiar with the game Thief, or the franchise Thief, really is potentially a great stealth game with magics and teleportation and weapons. Dishonored 1 and 2 is great games. I mean, Bethesda hit a very rich vein of form with some of their titles several years ago. So yeah, I would definitely recommend both of those to put in your queue. Obviously, you may only have to have enough memory to play one at a time, because the Xbox doesn't have mega huge space. This is why I built this PC with 2 terabytes of memory, because I knew the hard drives were going to get toasted with games. So yes, Dishonored 1 and 2, totally recommend. Now, let's talk about the strong stuff, the meat, the 2 titles that most people are familiar with when it comes to Bethesda: Fallout and the Elder Scrolls. Skyrim to me is the absolute pinnacle of what a swords and sorcery RPG can do or can be on a console. It's an old game now, 5-6 years old, maybe even a little longer, a little older than that. I re-downloaded it recently with all the HD MacGuffins, and it's gorgeous. The audio is amazing. The storylines are great. The combat works. Just being able to dual wield a weapon or different types of magic. There are more proficient RPGs since, but none that execute at such a consistently high level and bring so much enjoyment for me. So the Elder Scrolls Skyrim. If you have 100+ hours of your life to invest, go in, build your character, maybe read a couple of start guides first, because the last thing you want to do and we'll talk about Fallout in a minute, the last thing you want to do with regards to Skyrim is get about 4 hours in and go, oh shit, I need a respec, because my character is just, this isn't what I wanted to do. This isn't the character, the species, whatever that I wanted to play. And nobody wants to throw away those 4 hours. So, and you will be tempted to, trust me, you will be tempted to. So maybe look at a couple of start guides, get some advice, figure out how you want to play before you go in. But you will not be disappointed. Skyrim is still, it's one of those shining lights of a generation that also give us the likes of Grand Theft Auto 5 and some of the great Call of Duty games. And just really sort of we had a couple of banner years games wise where everything was just like, this is great, this is great, this is great. And they're all 60-70 hour games. It's like, oh my God, when do we get the time to play them? But they were so worth them. We're still playing them today. Let's talk about Fallout now. And look, I'll talk about the 2 online versions of these games in a minute. I've seen some people writing articles recommending Fallout 4. And I like Fallout 4. It's the newest of the Fallout standalone games, not 76. It's set in Boston. It's got a lot going for it. It's one of those games initially when it came out, I adored. And look, again, let's have a little show off here. I mean, I got the Pip-Boy from Fallout 4. Back in the days when I was getting sent merch. But Fallout 4, while gorgeous to look at and vast and so many other things, and I was really sucked into it initially, it's still not the best Fallout game. And I'm talking of the Bethesda era. That still goes to, in my opinion, and anybody who's a regular viewer of anything I've done over the past decade will turn around and say, oh, we know which Fallout game Marcus is going to talk about, and it is New Vegas. New Vegas. It's dated. It's 12 years old. 13? 2008, maybe? When it launched, it was buggy as fuck, especially on Xbox 360. I think it was unplayable on PS3. But it's been fixed. It's cheap. It runs on most PCs now because, it is old tech. It's crippled by a shoddy, shunky engine, but it's still some of the best Fallout gameplay, Fallout stories. The DLC is incredibly strong. All the expansion packs are. It's the last Fallout game, in my opinion, where you could actually get through without picking fights. Fallout 4 didn't have that. Fallout 4, for me, didn't have that level of really giving me the variety in how I wanted to play the game. Everything devolved into a firefight or a fisticuffs or, all-out war. And it became old and it became disappointing. So yeah, Fallout New Vegas, I think, is actually on the Xbox Pass. Give it a try. It looks, like I said, it looks old. It's dated in a lot of ways, but the storylines are so good. I mean, it's Obsidian, who have gone on to do so much. I mean, The Outer Worlds is, if you like The Outer Worlds, you'll really like Fallout New Vegas. If you've never played a Fallout game and you play Fallout New Vegas and you like that, then you'll really like The Outer Worlds because it has Obsidian's fingerprints all over it. And in fact, The Outer Worlds is where, in my opinion, Fallout 4 should have gone. Not to an outer world, but the way they allow you to go through the game and really play your own style. And if we ever get a Fallout 5, I would hope we get one. I hope the lessons of New Vegas are returned to Fallout, to the Fallout series. Okay, so and then a quick word about the two MMOs, Fallout 76 and The Elder Scrolls Online. Now, I'll be honest with you, not really a fan of either of them. So I'm a little biased. I know Fallout 76 has had a lot of updates and rejigs and people playing it and digging it. More power to you. It's funny, for the longest time I wanted to play a Fallout, a living, breathing Fallout world. And when I played 76 initially, I was so disappointed because they'd taken the very strange decision to take out the NPCs. Now the NPCs are back, but it still doesn't feel like a Fallout game to me. Could do without the whole, you were thirsty, you were hungry, blah, blah, blah. Playing a fucking game. I really don't need to be thirsty and hungry. I get thirsty and hungry in real life. I don't need to do that in a video game. It's like, oh, you need to take a piss. Then it's not in the game. But I mean, it's those sort of things. Don't need them. They are continuing to evolve 76. Now you're going to have multiple camps, I'm understanding, which is great. But honestly, the building a camp is so unintuitive and unenjoyable to me. It's put me off it. And I would love to have built my own town, built my own camp and whatever. For some reason, this gene or this talent or whatever that people have for building amazingly ornate things. I think it's one of the reasons Valheim is going to be, left to rot on my hard drive, is that I just can't seem to do it. I can't seem to just get that working, get that vibe working, despite watching numerous tutorials. So, yeah, if you want, give them a try. Those two, they've gotten better. Both games have gotten better after their release. ESO as well had a really bad launch, and then about a year later, it was really improving. And the same thing has happened with Fallout 76. But if I could pick 3 games for you to download and play today on your consoles using the Xbox Live Gaming Pass, so on your console or your PC, it would have to be Wolfenstein: The New Colossus, without a doubt. Fallout New Vegas, without a doubt. Dishonored 2, which is really tough because Dishonored 1 is also excellent. And the reason I put Dishonored 2 in there is, Dishonored's in there as well because it kind of covers the shooter aspect along with Wolfenstein. Kind of tough on Doom, but what are you going to do? So, yes, exciting times to have an Xbox Live Gaming Pass thingy account. Yeah, we'll see how that goes. I mean, it'll be interesting when the new games come, like Deathloop. Will Deathloop come to the pass, day one? That's interesting. Okay, let's go back to the chat room. Let me see. Well, Sublevel 28, New Vegas and 3 are my faves. Well, of course, you have impeccable taste. Although you prefer Fallout 2 out of all of them. I mean, again, I'm talking about the Bethesda era. Fallout 76, if you're not overpowered, the map camps you can take and keep and protect for you. Okay, I've received 100 messages again today. This is good. Yes, for Fallout. I mean, I understand, and it goes back to some of the things I've said about Valheim and everything. I don't want to I want to escape in video games. I don't want to escape to a world where I still have to do exactly the same shit I have to do in real life. I have to count all my ammo over and over, which, we know when you do in a lot of games, but I mean, the food and everything else, and you're limited by the packs. And it's like, oh, but you have to get invested. And the longer you play, the more it comes off. And it's like, well, hang on. If I'm playing more and it doesn't come off for me, I've just wasted 10, 15, 20 hours. How about barrier of entry? This is going to be on my fucking tomb. Barrier of entry. How about you look at it and you say, how can we make it a little more attractive for people to get in from the get-go? How can we make it so that people don't feel totally overpowered in what is quite a vast world? Let's give them a little bit of leeway to learn and not feel that they have to learn to build a frigging camp. Let's have some presets on the camp. You want to, you've got all these things that you can put together, so you don't have to worry about, I have to build the generator and the wires and everything. How about, here's preset number 1, here's preset number 2, here's preset number 3 with regards to your camps. Basic, intermediate, shit ton of resources needed. And you can actually then fiddle with them a little bit in the menu beforehand, and you can say, boom, build it, and it goes, boom, click, 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 and look at that. I've got Marcus Beer's little camp of love. Yay! Let's have some of that. Let's stop being such fucking gatekeepers. Let's let more people in. And everybody's going to say, and then we're going to get, as usual, we're going to get the crowd saying, well, I like the building challenge, and I think that a pre-packaged choice will really just lower the standards and take away the thrill for me. I was like, you don't have to frickin' use it. It's not the... Stop worrying about other people's enjoyment impacting your own because of a couple of decisions, and just continue to enjoy it the way you enjoy it. Nobody's taking shit away from you. In fact, people are letting you, people are going to come in and enjoy and learn and get better and maybe even contribute to your enjoyment. Stop being a fucking snob. Whew. Ranting Greek Gamer in the house. How are you, my friend? Okay, well, there you go. You turned up 56 minutes late, and you're going to have to watch all of that later on because I did just cover it, literally all of it, and I did on Tuesday's show as well. Rusted Bird, hey, Marcus. Nice to see me back. Thank you. This is me back. But thank you, Rusted Bird. I really do appreciate it. Thank you again, everybody who drops in. Oh, let's see. And Slade says, if I want to play Fallout, I want single player only, standalone game to have fun. If there's stress in a game, I'm not even starting. Yeah, I'm happy to play and be part of a Fallout world, but I would have much rather it be a Fallout world like New Vegas or a Fallout world like Boston, not the butt end of fucking Virginia. I mean, come on. Could you have picked a more boring place to have a vault? I mean, all right, now we're going to have a rant. And look, again, I've said I've got lots of friends at Bethesda. I know people who've worked on this. I got nothing but love for them. But come on, fucking Virginia? It's like, where should we go? Should we take Fallout to London, Paris, Rome, Cape Town, Cairo, Virginia? Are you fucking kidding me? Why didn't you just revisit? I mean, honestly, the ideal world of 76 would have been not Virginia. It would have been, oh, okay, well, we've got Washington from Fallout 3, and we've got Boston from Fallout 4. So they're both East Coast. One's about meow. One's about meow. So, New York. And then we can actually connect them. The expansion packs would be, we're going to make the areas bigger. We're going to add Boston. We're going to add Washington. These areas that have recognizable landmarks. These areas that are so cool to look at. And you're in and you're like, I'm in this post-apocalyptic world. And, oh, shit, there's what's left of the Empire State Building. Or, oh, shit, there is the green monster that is Fenway Park. Or, oh, shit, there is the Lincoln Memorial from Washington. And let's put these people in there. Why do you think those games were so successful? Yes, they had these cool aspects to them and the great gameplay, but they were in areas that we recognize, and then we're playing in the video game environment, and they are fun. I mean, if you play Division 1 or 2, Division 2 in particular, you recognize a lot of the monuments. You start off at the fucking White House, for God's sake. So why couldn't Fallout 76 be like that? Why did it have to go to friggin' Virginia? That's a decision that should have been like, okay, we're going to take Virginia and we're going to send it to Virginia at a farm upstate. Off you go. And maybe they thought the engine wasn't up to it, which I think is bunkum because the engine still is holding up from Fallout 4. And everybody will say, oh, Fallout 4, multiplayer games for single games, player games, and so on and so forth. But they got the location wrong. For me, to enjoy a Fallout game, I like to see recognizable places. I would love to have seen it in New York, or I would love to have seen it in Chicago. I would love to have seen it in somewhere in continental Europe, or obviously the UK. And I think it's an issue. I think it's not helped the game. Obviously, hindsight's always 2020. You do like to give him a chance. I mean, Todd Howard, genius. He's made some amazing games. I just think this one was a misstep where it would have been nice to have gone somewhere recognizable. Okay. Bone Disturbed wants another Obsidian Fallout. Don't we all? We got one. It's called The Outer Worlds, mate. Check that out. The Outer Worlds. If you haven't played it, you gotta play it. It's awesome. Ranting Greek Gamer. So happy to have you back. Listen to your opinions. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I appreciate all your support. You guys are amazing. Okay, so I think I just caught up with everybody here. All right, so let's talk about, and look at this. I've been going for an hour, and I thought I was going to crash out on everybody, but I haven't. Let's talk about the last topic that I'm going to talk about today, which is Star Citizen. I was like, what the fuck did I remember? Star Citizen, the game that as of June 2020 had raised over $300 million. A game that has been, I mean, when was it announced? Oh, hang on. Now I'm looking at a more recent one, end of December, between 450 million and 470 million by some estimates. It's a game that's been going around for a long time. It's a game that will it ever see the light of day beyond the ultimate playable alphas that you payable alphas, not just playable. So yes, a lot of controversy about Star Citizen over the years. I remember when the Disturbed Swan, South Park 1 was also pretty damn excellent. Stick of Truth over the Fractured Butthole any day of the week. All right, Star Citizen. Yeah, when it was first announced, it was crowdfunded out of all expectations, and everybody's like, "Oh, Kickstarter, Star Citizen!" I'm like, what the fuck is Star Citizen? And I looked into it, I was like, "Oh, Wing Commander, dude! Oh, look at that! He's doing like a big multiplayer version of that's cool. Got no problem with that." I was like, "Yeah, great. When it comes out, I'll probably buy it." And in 2021, and this was when I was the game trailers. I haven't been at game trailers in 7 years. It still hasn't come out. And it's overly ambitious. And they're going to add this version. They're going to add this and they add this. And you know what's interesting? No Man's Sky came out and went from a disaster at launch to something that is now really quite impressive in scope. And the commitment behind that was just fantastic. And it offers multiplayer and it offers lots of different worlds and this, that, and the other. And then there's also a game called Elite Dangerous. Now, the first Elite came out in 1984, on the BBC B, played on the Spectrum. And then Elite Dangerous came out, again, probably about a decade ago. And that's now evolved beyond all recognition. Huge multiplayer environment. Huge. I mean, and look, we could talk about EVE Online as well, because EVE Online is another vast multiplayer space game that has this huge following where people spend a shit ton of money. But Elite Dangerous is now adding a first-person shooter aspect, landing on planets, colonizing them, this, that, and the other, while still being out and actually making money. So you've got all those games that are scratching these itches, and then you've got this piece of vaporware from, I'm not saying it's vaporware. It's out there in playable forms, I'm guessing. But you have this overly or wildly ambitious game from Chris Roberts that still hasn't seen the light of day. It has burned through apparently I'm looking at the internet, $200+ million. And people are still buying a shit ton of virtual goods, virtual ships. They keep on, it's like today's offer, it's literally like televangelists. We have these televangelists here in the US. Joel Osteen, Pat Robertson, the 800 Club. People, back in the old days, they call them snake oil salesmen. The sort of people who prey on the vulnerable and the desperate and the people who are in front of their TVs all day and are worried about dying and are worried about going to hell. And these parasites, and I'm not talking about Chris Roberts right now, but I'm talking about Osteen and these guys, Osteen. These parasites say that you will not go to hell if you send me $50. Because I spoke to Jesus last night. And Jesus said, oh, if Mrs. Jemima Puddle Duck sends you $50, she won't go to hell. Despite the fact that she killed 36 people in 1926. And these people say that, and they get people's money. And they don't deliver anything, because obviously it's all bullshit. And I'm not going to criticize anybody who has faith in Skyfinger, providing your faith is tempered by reality. If you feel that you have a bond with God, Mohammed, Buddha, Vishnu, whoever, Satan, go Team Satan. Good. If that helps you get through the day, great. If it helps you be a better person, great. The operative word, be a better person. Because if you decide to be a dick because some fucking dusty book and some nipplehead with a southern accent is saying, oh, you got to burn all the gays there because the gays are causing the global warming change because otherwise it's scientists who are trying to make us all gay. The Westboro Baptists, they're another bunch of fucknuts. And look, I'm getting my point. But I will say, it's great to have your faith and everything. But as someone who died for 18 minutes, there's nothing. You got one fucking life. There was no afterlife. There was no bright light. There was no flashing before my eyes. I was at least hoping for a guy with a fucking pitchfork and some sulfurous smells. And he's like, it's about fucking time. You pull up a pool of lava. This is where you're going to be. That's what I was expecting. But no, none of that happens. So how about we look at it from the perspective as we have one life? And nobody can promise you what happens after this. Maybe we transcend to a new spiritual plane, or our souls evolve into something higher life beings or whatever, which is maybe why the good people go sooner than the rest of us, because we're all still not cooking yet. Not done cooking. But anyway, so sorry, rant aside, organized religion. Fucking hate it. Let's talk, but the comparison to Cloud Imperium and Star Citizen is very familiar of, coffers are running lower again. So, all right, Mr. Art Department, shipbuilding guy, what can you build for me this month? Well, this month, Chris, I've got this, toilet ship. It's a ship like a gold toilet. So Donald Trump will love it. But we can put it out and it does this. And when you go into hyperspace, it makes a farty sound. And we can sell it for, people can pay $5,000 for it. And we'll only make 10,000 of them. 10,000 times $5,000 a pop. $500,000. And it will only cost us $2,000 in man hours to get it done and get the code out. And people line up and buy it. And people have been lining up and buying since day one. And what was initially a cool thing, I'm in at the beginning. I've got this big ship. I've got my Star Destroyer. And I've got my fleet of TARDISes and Vipers and Buck Rogers ships and X-Wings or knockoffs thereof in the hangar bay, ready to go. And I'm going to buy, have my own planet. And it's going to be called Planet Tweedle Penis. And I'm going to park my ships around it, and it's going to be great. And people have invested all that money from the get-go, and it's like, oh, okay, so they want a little bit more, and now I can get a twin planet, so I can have Planet Tweedle Vagina to go with penis, Tweedle Penis. This is going to be great. We're good. It's just an extra $5,000, an extra $6,000. I'm now spent $10,000. I've now spent $30,000. I've now spent $50,000, because some of these people have spent a lot of money, and they're not really realizing how much they're spending at first, because it builds up and builds up and builds up. And now people are in the hole for 30, 40, 50 grand. And it's like, shit, well, I've got to keep on investing so that they finish the game and I can actually play it and I can actually have my twin planets. And, the asteroid belt of, Tweedlanus between the two. And I've got my ships and everything. And I can then just strut around and everybody's going to be so impressed with me. Not realizing that there's also a bunch of other people who'll have exactly the same things and will probably be on the same server as you, and you'll fly out one of your planets or your space station day one, and you've got 5 minutes into the game, and you go, oh shit, they've got exactly the same stuff that I got. But they're still funding it because they want the game to come out, and they're so far into the hole. It's like a gambler. It's like, this hand is going to be the one that's going to bring me back. Yes, I've got, I've gambled with the home mortgage payments for the month. Yes, the kids are not going to go to college now. Yes, I'm going to have to sell the Audi and get a Gremlin. But this one will get, this will be the one that puts it over. This will be the one that brings the game home to me. And it just hasn't. Still hasn't. So I think, it's what they're doing is wrong. I think they shouldn't be allowed to do this level of funding. As somebody, who asks for people to fund him, at least you know what you're getting. And you are getting it, kind of. But yeah, I don't think this should be allowed. I think this should have been shut down years ago. I think there should be rules and regulations in place. I am understanding that crowdfunding is a great tool for getting games out there to people that wouldn't normally be made. But some people are totally taking the piss and taking people for a ride. Hence the evangelical comparison. So what else has been going on with Cloud Imperium? Well, they're in Texas. Texas not had a good couple of weeks. February, the devil went to work on a snowplow, and he drove right through Texas. They got hit by one of the worst winter storms in memory. Pipes froze. People couldn't get water. Their outdated power system, that is the only grid that's not connected to the federal grids, because we have 3 grids here. We have 2 federal grids in Texas, because they didn't want none of them their regulations, because those fucking regulations would have meant that people would have had to weatherproof the transformers and the lines, so the power companies wouldn't have made more money. So they had to get rid of the regulations. And so people died. And a lot of really good people in Texas suffered, including a lot of games companies, because Austin in particular has a lot of games companies. Only I can't even think of any. Aspire, they're in that neck of the woods. That company shit. Come on, the Bethesda company. I think it's like Arcane Austin. I think they have one in Austin, but also Cloud Imperium are in Austin. And while you see EA apparently have studios in Texas as well, and what you've seen is these companies have stepped up, because we've been in a pandemic, and we have seen, not only we're in the pandemic, people are working from home. The companies have said, all right, well, we're not in Texas, but we have people working in Texas who are in fucking shit street without a paddle right now. They can't work. They can't do X, Y, and Z. Let's make sure they can get access to water. Let's see, do they need generators? Let's see, do they need food parcels? Can we put them up in a hotel? Let's put our HR departments to work. And these companies, EA included, have been really helping out. Cloud Imperium, Mr. $450 million funded for a game that hasn't appeared yet. What did they do? They said, if you can't work, you're going to have to take time off as PTO, personal time off. You're going to have to use your vacation time. If you can't work because there's no power and there's no water and you're freezing to death, or you've got no drinking water for your kids, or you can't get out to go and get food because the roads are not cleared, or the grocery stores are closed. So basically, I think the thing to take away from this is that Chris Roberts is a dick. Never met the guy. I mean, there's a lot going on, and this is just the latest. I mean, there's been controversy with regards to his partner being, the head of marketing there, with my understanding, very little qualifications and making some very, very strange decisions. Him running unfettered, nobody to tell him to just get the fucking game out. Some of their spends, $4 million a month burn on some studios. Some, understand some perhaps dubious accounting decisions that, again, I'm just going by what I've seen on the internet. I'm just putting them out there as things I have seen. I cannot say for sure that they are as dubious as people claim, but none of this looks good for Chris Roberts and his management team. It's one thing bilking the public because we are all gullible. It's a totally different thing to have people working for you. And look, I know some people, there are some people in positions of power who say it's not the company or the government or anybody's responsibility to look after you. You're on your fucking own, even though you pay for taxes, this, that, and the other. But it's how we treat our colleagues and our friends and our employees in times of trouble that define who we are and show who we are as people and as corporations. And if a company that won worst company in America for a couple of years, which was EA, can put their powers of the HR department to good use to help their staff trapped in blizzards, no power, no water, no food. And smaller companies can also do the same and look out for their employees and make sure that they are safe. than a company like Cloud Imperium, who have offices all over the world, who have studios all over the world, who have a lot of people working in these particular in the HR departments. The fact that they are so short-sighted that they cannot put their powers to good to make people safe and look after the people who are making the fucking game for them, it shines them in the worst of worst lights. It's not been a good decade if you're Chris Roberts for your reputation. The Wing Commander games were great but limited. But when we got to Wing Commander 3 and the FMV, let's be honest, it was bloated as fuck. And then Star Citizen came along with all these wild, outlandish promises that are still being promised and more stuff's being added and nothing's being delivered. I would love to be proven wrong, and I would love to see that everybody gets their game that they paid for and all their ships, and they get this huge, amazing work of art, the Venus de Milo of video games. I'm not going to hold my breath. What I think will happen is that you will see Chris Roberts held up as an example of video game ego unchecked and how it can take things down. When you make Daikatana look like a pleasant memory, you're not doing something right. All right, back to the chat show. No, the chat show. Why have I said that twice now? Back to the chat room. Let's go back up to the chat room and see what's going on. Okay. Do I think the Avengers game is going to pull an Anthem? No, I don't think so, because I think the Marvel license has probably got some things in there. And, they've just announced a bunch more stuff. You can replay the game finally, which is, going to be good. Give people a chance to replay and try different permutations of teams. If they take the stuff on board, if they take the feedback on board, it could be going for a while. It could be something that, now we're looking at the next-gen versions hitting. If they make it competent and playable and enjoyable and give it a replay value and dial back on the nickel and diming, then we could be in a very, very good place with that game moving forward. We'll all have to forget Tony Stark as in Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans and Chris Hemsworth and Scarlett Johansson and Paul Bettany as their characters and their voices. We'll have to get over that. We'll just put them to one side. But if Square Enix are in for the long haul, I'm sure this thing was not a cheap acquisition license-wise. There's a whole world of stuff they can do with the Avengers. They just have to listen to the constructive criticism, separate the wheat from the chaff, figure out how to get the game attractive to people in the short term, and then build in the long term. That's my 2 cents. Disturbed Swan. Right, yes, South Park is here. 1, okay. So Disturbed Swan, I paid $30 for a starter ship on Star Citizen in 2015, still yet to launch. Yeah. And that's the starter ships. People have paid 10, 20, 50, 100 times that for stuff. It's crazy. Steve Morris, I backed him in 2012 at the original Kickstarter. Good God. Yeah. It's interesting. I mean, how we Darmist says you lose your ship if you don't insure it. Spaceship insurance. I mean, is that are they going to have fucking State Farm? Is it going to be Interstate Farm? See, Interstate Farm, Interspace Farm. Sell space. They can literally sell ad space to the insurance companies. Yeah, that's terrible. I don't know if that's true. If you lose everything, that would fucking piss me off. Eotine, yes, exactly. You'd buy it. You'd buy it. The toilet farting ship. Ranting Greek Gamer says, Mr. B, the most absurd thing about this all started sitting in the back is yes, exactly. They've all paid it. Yes, Ponzi scheme. Very good analogy. Bone Disturbed. Yeah, I mean, I think the last game I pre-ordered was Cyberpunk, and I pre-ordered it like a day before, and I did not have buyer's remorse. I love the game. I know it's shitty, but okay. Yeah, there's a bunch of Austin people there. Bone Disturbed says, starting to think you are Bernd Lehan Windswept. Who's that? What? No. Oh, no, sorry, Windslept. Okay, all right, okay, you guys are having a conversation. See, I love it when people get together and have conversations. Wing Commander Prophecy, Eudine likes that, but you had Mark Hamill. Mark Hamill's the bomb, absolutely. I will finish off with the Mark Hamill story. I'm going to go back to 1990, I want to say 4. Now, in the UK, we had something called, this was pre-E3. We still had CES that nobody ever got to go to at my level. But we had something called the European Computer Trade Show that happened twice a year, spring and autumn. And at the time, I was writing a video game column for something called the Western Mail. Actually, no, I tell a lie. This was when I'd actually gone to Games World. I was actually at Games World at the time. And I had, basically, I was very friendly with the PR manager at Konami, who is a wonderful lady. Cannot remember her name for the life of me. My God, I hate going senile. Jesus Christ, this is annoying. Apologies for the, the blasphemy, if you are of that. But yeah, I went and had an appointment to look at the Batman game because Konami had a Batman game back then. And she was like, "Oh, well, that's the appointment. That's the game. Do you have an appointment next?" I said, "No, I don't." And she said, "Do you want to come upstairs to our VIP area and have a cup of coffee and hang out for a minute?" I said, "Yes, I'd love to." And so we go up there, and she's like, "Oh, let's go to that table over there. By the way, have you met Mark?" I'm like, "Fucking Luke Skywalker," because it was Mark Hamill. He was right there because obviously he'd been doing the voice of Joker in the Batman stuff, and he was there to promote. And me, like, I had a whole, it's Mark Hamill. But then, of course, I'm being a, cocky, shitty 20-something at the time where it's like, all right, it's Mark Hamill. What's he done lately? He's just, doing a voiceover of a cartoon in a video game. Not being the evolved human being that I should be. I was too blasé about it. And thankfully, I wasn't rude to him. And he had all these wonderful stories, and he was talking, but all the time I was like, "Oh, how the mighty have fallen." I mean, God, what's he going to do next? But I got to say, he was just one of the nicest celebrities, and I've met more than a few. I've been kind of lucky. Most of them have been really nice. He was one of the nicest, and he was my first celebrity meeting of like somebody from my childhood, fanning out. And he was just fantastic. And one of my regrets that I will take to my grave is that I wasn't more gracious in listening to him. And this was obviously pre-cell phones with cameras, but I should have got a picture with him, or I should have asked for his autograph or something, because he was part of a movie series, that the original trilogy, that helped cement my love for sci-fi and fantasy and translate it into video games. And obviously, he's done so much since that I'm appreciative of. I've seen everything, everything he's done. I've listened to all his stuff, and he is a genuinely decent human being. If you follow him on Twitter, I just wish, I wish that 30 years ago, 25 years ago, I was a bit better of a human being, and I just would have taken a second to say, thank you. I loved Luke Skywalker as a kid. Loved Star Wars. But anyway, that's my Mark Hamill story. Okay. Ranting Greek Gamer. I cannot talk about the PS5's technical problems because I don't have a PS5. I mean, I can look into it. I'll look into it, but I can't really go when I haven't had the issues myself. Like I said, my launch PS4 is still working. I mean, my launch PS3 is still working. I've never had a problem with PlayStations. I've got a fucking PS2 somewhere and a PS1. They'll still work. It's been amazing. Xboxes, however, I'll have a look into it, and we'll see what's what. Let me see. Alan Carr's really funny. You met Kenny Dalglish. Oh, King Kenny. 360. I had two 360s die on me, and I've had two Xbox Ones die on me. Raypad. All right, you know what? That's it. We are going to. It's 90 minutes. I've kept going way too long. This is crazy. What's going on with that? I am going to go toodles, because if you are a Patreon subscriber, you will know that it's time for Discord. Jump on the Discord channel. Let's get you on to... sorry, I'm just trying to switch accounts here so I can just check something out. Yep, there you go. If you are a Patreon subscriber, you check your messages in Patreon and you will have a link to the Discord server. And I'm about to jump in there now. We're going to chat for 20 minutes, maybe half an hour. And then I'm going to go rest my weary voice, and we'll talk about some other stuff. Everybody else who's in the subscriber, I really still love and appreciate every single one of you. You are fantastic peoples. Stay cool. Stay safe. Be good. Wear a mask. Leave the dickery to me. Thank you so much. Be back on Tuesday. Oh, it looks like I'm going to get my jab next week. My first vaccination. Fingers crossed. Old person. Pre-existing conditions. Thank you all. You're all amazing. Follow me on the Twitty. Follow me. Give me a like on Twitch, on YouTube. And if you do want to support via Patreon, it's probably better than doing the Twitch thing, to be honest with you. I'd appreciate it. If not, no worries. Be good. See you guys on Discord in about